So the next section that we're going to talk about is payroll. We're going to start with hourly payroll. But before we do that, let's talk about a few important things. Number one, everyone needs to know about payroll. Why? Because everyone hopefully is planning on getting a job and in some way getting paid in the future. So the most common way to get paid are normally hourly and salary. There are a few different ways, and we might touch on them shortly in the future. But the most common way to get paid is hourly. It's important that you know how to calculate your paycheck. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the vocabulary. First of all, a time card. A time card includes dates, employees' names, times, and hours worked. Most of you, when you get to work, you clock in on a computer screen somewhere. But the reason you do that is because at the end of the pay period, someone prints that off so that you can get paid. A payroll ledger, the print off that comes off, that goes to get paid, that's called a payroll ledger. Hourly wage, the amount a person earns per hour of work. Right now in Ohio, the Ohio minimum wage is $8.70, which has increased quite a bit since I started working. The Fair Labor Standard Act is FLSA. It's just an act that established a work week of 40 hours. Now, per week that requires overtime pay for hours worked beyond 40. That's if you make minimum wage, okay? If you make more than that, it doesn't always have to be 40 hours. Overtime pay for hours worked beyond regular hours. Time and a half means 1.5 times the normal wage. Gross earnings, earnings before with required withdrawals. Now this is an important one because we're going to actually calculate gross earnings. Gross earnings are what you would make if you would not have a government. So what you would make if there would be no taxes taken out. Okay, I know a lot of you probably calculated your first paycheck, and you figured out that that's not actually what you're going to make if all the taxes that come out of that. And we'll talk about those later. But gross earnings is earnings without withdrawals. The next, it's not going to work for me. Here it goes. Salary is a fixed amount given every pay, no matter the amount of hours worked. Okay, this is the second probably most common way to get paid is salary. Salaried employees most of the time have a contract. Teachers are salary employees, so I get paid salary, but I'm required to be here so many hours a day for so many days. Double time pay work for hours that are generally holidays. This is twice your regular wage. We're not going to touch on this a lot, but a lot of times if you work on Christmas or if you work on Thanksgiving or July 4th, they will offer you double pay, or sometimes they'll offer you time and a half. Shift differential, this is pay given to people who work undesirable hours like swing or night shift. Some people who work the night shift get paid more than the day shift. Why? Because it's difficult to work a night shift. Switches your hours. Split shift, pay given to people who work shifts that are a few hours at a time and make up 8-hour shifts. For example, restaurant employees. Sometimes restaurant employees will work in the morning and then work the night shift again, but they'll have like a 3 or 4 hour break in between to take a rest. That's a split shift. Comp time or compensatory time. Time given off from regular work schedule instead of overtime pay. Sometimes you can work for comp time instead of overtime. This is just time off with pay. Not sure why it doesn't want to go to the next page. There it goes. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use these 3 formulas and calculate pay for hourly employees. First of all, to find the total hours you work. If you work a job, which most of you do, you're going to take all the hours that you've worked and you're going to add them up once you're done with your pay period. Some of you have a pay period of 2 weeks. You get paid every 2 weeks. Some of you get paid every week. Some of you get paid twice a month. Most of you will either get paid every week or every 2 weeks. So the total hours worked, normally we calculate that per week and you add them up. Overtime hours is your total hours minus your regular hours. Now remember, if you get paid minimum wage, 40 hours are your regular hours. But if you get paid $20 an hour, your regular hours might be 45 hours a week. or if they might vary if you get paid more. Overtime rate is 1.5 times your regularly hourly rate. So if you get paid $10 an hour, your overtime rate is going to be 1.5 times 10, which is going to be $15. You get a time plus half of that time. All right, so let's go ahead and calculate. Did I go too far? I did. Let's go ahead and calculate Perry, M. Perry. I want to use my formulas that I just had. Let's go ahead and look at those. And I want to find, the first thing I'm going to find is the total number of hours that were worked. So on Sunday, Perry did not work any hours. Monday, he worked 9. So we would take 9 plus 6 plus 10, 7 plus 10 plus 8 plus 4, which would give me, I like to group them together because I don't have a calculator. If you have a calculator, you can use a calculator. So I have 15 plus 17 plus 12, which would give me 28. 15 plus 12 is 28, or I'm sorry, 27 plus 17 is going to give me 44 hours. So Perry has a total of 44 hours. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes there. His regular hours are 40, which that said, it always is going to tell you what the regular hours are going to be, but we're going to assume Perry's are 40. So his overtime hours, if you look over here, total hours minus regular hours. Well, his total hours were 44, his regular hours were 40, so we're going to subtract and get 4. Now, the only thing you have to calculate next is the overtime rate. The overtime rate is 1.5 times the regular rate. So if you look at Perry, I'm going to take $9.10 times 1.5. And I'll have to get a calculator for this one. Should have had it out earlier. Here's my calculator. There it is. And I have 1.5 times 910. $13.65. Sorry about that. Okay, $13.65. And that's all we're going to do for part 1. So let's do one more example, then you can start your worksheet. Maybe. There we go. Okay, Hilliard worked 10 hours on Sunday. She did not work on Monday. 8 hours on Tuesday, 8 hours on Wednesday, 9 hours on Thursday, and 8 hours on Friday. So we're going to go ahead and add them up. We have 18 for 10 and 8. 8 and 9 is 17. And then I have, and then I have an additional 8. So let's go ahead and add those up. This is going to give me 25 plus 18, which is 43. So the total hours are 43. So how many of those are going to be overtime if Hilliard's regular work week is 35 hours? Well, we're going to subtract. 43 minus 35 is 8. So she had 8 hours since her regular work week is 35 hours. Regular rate, 10.50. So what would her overtime rate be? Well, that's when I'm going to take 10.50 times 1.5. Where's my calculator? $10.50 times 1.5, $15.75. and delay a little bit. All right, go ahead and complete worksheet 1 in Google Classroom.